All right, and now for the soft launch of a brand new segment here. Let's just call it a brand new end-year segment called Film Revisits, right? This is inspired by CC's film discoveries, which they've been doing for like past 4 or 5 years now.
I think, it's been a while.
Yeah, but in this case, this is going to be based on the top 25 greatest films of all time, right? And we're talking about 2000 to 2000 to 2025, right? This is inspired by an article that was dropped back in July, I think it was, of this year, courtesy of the New York Times, about the best films of the 21st century. And, like everybody, you saw the article, is like, wait, not 21st century, but like, it's now the first quarter of the 21st century, right? But then it's like, well, that's the point. Oh, it's it's meant to grab you like that, right? Yeah, so it's like that, right? Yeah. And I was just looking at it. It's like, these are some great films, and an idea was just born out of it, right? Where we share our individual picks, top 25 picks, of best films that we saw over the past 25 years, right? So just to keep in mind, these aren't going to be ranked. In my case, or I should say in most of our case, they will just be ranked in terms of the year that they were released, right? I'm just gonna list out my 25 to 11, but when it comes to 10 to 1, I'll just delve a little bit into why these films really stood out to me, right? But these 10 in particular, just going back to film revisits, right, are films that I rewatched this year, and I'm just gonna express quickly how I feel about these films now, right? So without wasting any time, let me share my 25 to 11, right? So starting in terms, again, we're moving in terms of the year that it was released, right? And just letting you all know, there will be ties. There will be more than one tie. That's all I'll say, right? There has to be, there have to be ties in this, right? I mean, I'm sorry, man. I mean, there's just an infinite amount of great movies, and we had to pick 25, right? So sorry, my list come up to like about 35 or 40 when you really think about it, right? So anyway, number 25. Technically not a tie, but I mean, what can I say? It's a trilogy. It's the trilogy that matters, in my opinion. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson. 2001.
Yes.
2001 to 2003, right? Yes. Love this trilogy. I own it on Blu-ray. The extended edition, that is. Love that. And I should also mention too, from this point on, there are gonna be some comic book movies, right? But not the ones that you're expecting, right? So with that being said,
Green Lantern in there?
no, yeah. But with that being said, though, for my first comic book movie, one of the most criminally underrated films of the 2000s, and in my opinion, one of the best films to star Tom Hanks, from Sam Mendes. Road to Perdition, 2002.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this show. I saw it when it premiered on HBO. I was in love with it. The cinematography, the score, Tom Hanks, just the story. And this is also based off a graphic novel, which was inspired by the Lone Wolf and Cub manga series, right? One of the greatest manga ever made, right? And of course, the movies are great. They're available in Criterion Collection, right? But yeah, this movie is brilliant. Just this great crime drama and great, father-son story as well, right? Love that film, right? Gonna drop another comic book movie your way, right? Sorry to say, folks, but I was on the hype train for this to the point that kind of sell myself out here. Literally, at a point in time, up until, let me just say, 2023 or 2024, I kind of stopped doing it then because I just knew the film by heart at that point. Yeah, every November 5th, I used to watch this. V for Vendetta from James McTeague, 2005. Right. Loved that film the moment I saw it in theaters.
Absolutely.
Love it. Hugo Weaving is great as V. People's making jokes about, Natalie Portman's English accent goes, dips in and out, blah, blah.
Yeah, John Hurt Doncaster, great.
Yeah, John Hurt, boy. Oh my God, he was he is menacing. Just all you just see throughout the majority of that film is his face, and he just brings so much fear to that story, right? But it's just how they were able to. Sorry.
England prevails.
Yes, England prevails, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
And for me, right, I know Alan Moore has not been a great fan of his of film adaptations of his work, but I would say that this is probably the best one that I've seen because of how they
It
made it feel
is.
very modern. It felt very contemporary, right? Yes, the graphic novel was based on the Margaret Thatcher era of England, right? But in this case, they were able to modernize it into this is the early 2020s, I believe it was, right? I think it's from the 2020s upwards. I think it was, right? But yeah, how they were able to modernize that story and give us a great anti-hero in the form of V-Boy. Boy, love that film, right? Another comic book movie, right? And for me, moment I saw this on big screen, blew me away, loved it, and it did something in terms of directing that still has not been done, right? Where the director of the film teamed up with the actual creator of the film, and they have co-directing, they pretty much co-directed this film. From 2005, Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller's Sin City. OMFG, I love this show so much. It is so
memories
dark,
are this.
grimy, gritty ass neo-noir shit. Loved it. Just that whole aesthetic of the color and the black and white, boy. Wow, just blew me away, right? The sequel, I didn't hate, but the problem with it though, it just came out way too late though. Like it took them 10 years to bring out the sequel. It's like, no, strike while the iron is hot. That's what Robert Rodriguez did with his, Mexico films, right? That's what he did with his Spy Kids films, right? Why we wait 10 years for A Dame to Kill For? And by the time it came, I was like, okay, well, nah. And we just sort of moved on with our lives, though. Such a shame, right? But yeah, the original one was just the shock just the jolt to the arm that the comic book film world needed, right? And it wasn't based on anything with superheroes or mutants, whatever it is. It was just pure, unadulterated, grimy neo-noir shit, right? Absolutely love this show. From 2006, still the best Guillermo del Toro film ever made, in my opinion, Pan's Labyrinth. Yes, I could have put Frankenstein, but I was like, I should mention, at least in my
That one
list,
just came out.
I know. I'm not putting any films from 2025, similar to what I did with my 6 Reels Deep list, right? But more on that 6 Reels Deep stuff later on, right? But yeah, Pan's Labyrinth, love that film the moment I saw it. Well deserving of the best international feature film at the time. And yeah, it still remains its best work, right? From 2009, Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. I will never forget talking about that film with you, Ricardo, and Ashton, shout out to Ashton. I wanted to put Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 because those two were the first Tarantino films that I saw in theaters, right? And the moment I saw Volume 1, I just fell in love with that film. And at the time, I was watching a lot of samurai films, a lot of martial arts films, right? So that film, that Volume 1 really resonated with me, right? But Inglourious Bastards did something that I never saw before. Tell a war story without showing actual war. That just blew my mind, right? And it was just this very, very well-told story with some of the best dialogue that I've ever seen materialize. And of course, it made a megastar out of Christoph Waltz, right?
Yes.
And just a magnificent performance and well-deserving of his Oscar win for that, right? I believe, he won the Oscar for that, right? I almost got confused with Django Unchained, right? But no, he won for this film, right? From 2011, Gavin O'Connor's Warrior. This was my favorite film of 2011.
Oh, nice one.
Love this film, one of the best, sports drama films ever made. Joel Edgerton, I think this was like my introduction to him, right? He knocked out the park, same thing with Tom Hardy, and I'll let you know Tom Hardy was on a roll in the early 2010s, so just starring in my picks for favorite films at that time, right? But yeah, and no lie, folks, the end of Warrior, which yes is a fight scene between two brothers, brought me to tears when I think about it, and just the end of it, boy. I just that final shot. I'm like, nah, boy, I'm in a mess. I'm in a mess, right? Love that film so much, right? For my first tie, and a story I had to put this as a tie, right? Because it's from the same directors, right? From Anthony and Joe Russo, from 2014 and 2019, Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Avengers Endgame. I mean, say no more, right? Two of the best comic book movies, two of the best MCU movies we've ever gotten. And, they just came like near the end of the first half of the 2010s and near the end of the second half of the 2010s, right? But I mean, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I mean, what more is there to say? And Avengers Endgame was a literal event, right? To the point that many people just sort of like were so overwhelmed. They're like, we don't want any more. And, with all the other MCU films that came out, like, no, we don't want any more. Like, Endgame was enough. Like, it was too much, right? Yeah. Second tie, just moving quickly here. From George Miller, Mad Max Fury Road 2015 and Furiosa and Mad Max Saga 2024. Mad Max Fury Road was my favorite film of the 2010s, and it still remains that. Furiosa Mad Max Saga could have been my favorite film of last year, but there's a reason why. I'll get to that later, right? But just a great double feature, and it's just how they work in tandem with each other in terms of just reintroducing us to this post-apocalyptic, world of Australia, right? Just a great, just full tilt action double feature, right? Now we're in number 16, right? Moving quickly. Still the best docu-series ever made, in my opinion. OJ Made in America from Ezra Edelman, 2016. This was my favorite movie of 2016. Yes, it is a movie because it was released as one, but when it aired on ESPN, it was a docu-series. But yeah, still the best docu-series I've ever seen. It just... touch on, O.J. Simpson and the L's that he took in his career, but it just really, it just took that, right? And just showed this really fascinating portrait of, the United States, right? And its troubled history with race, right? And it was just so enthralling, right? From start to end, right? And I'm one of the few people who owns the box set for that show, right? So I am happy to see that, right? From 2018, from Carlos Lopez Estrada, my favorite film of 2018, Blindspotting. This was also one of my favorite films, top 10 of the 2010s. Absolutely love that show. A great comedy drama about, race in the United States, right? From 2019, we all agreed this was the best film of that year and well deserving of the best international feature win, or I should say, Best Picture of 2020. Well, sorry, that it won in the 2020 Academy Awards. Of course, I'm talking about Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, right? Just a great, socio-economic thriller, satire. I mean, just a great film across the board, right? Number 13, from 2021, from A Boy Questlove, Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, right? A great music biopic. This was my favorite film of 2021. Loved that film so much, right? And when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm expecting it to come out through the Criterion Collection. I'm going to get to Criterion in a minute. I am there. I am on board, right? I need this in my life. Number 12. Your favorite film of 2023, Ricardo, Oppenheimer from Christopher Nolan. As you said, he just took everything that he's been honing in his career at that point and just gave us just this absolute masterpiece of a biopic, right? And one that, boy, it's to the point that, just at the time of us recording this just a few days ago, a couple of days before Christmas, we got the first trailer for the Odyssey. I'm like, IMAX for this, no ifs, ands, or buts, IMAX for this, I just like how I saw Oppenheimer for the first time, I need to see the Odyssey in the same exact way, right? And number 11, speaking of the Criterion Collection, this was recently announced as one of the films that they will be releasing on home media next year, and I knew it was going to come out through the Criterion Collection, and the moment I saw that cover, I was like, hell yes, I need this in my life. From 2023, my favorite film of 2023, Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. All I had to say is look at that cover and tell me you don't want that movie in your life. It is still my favorite film of that year. And yes, I do wrestle with that and Oppenheimer because I love both films, right? But as I said, Killers of the Flower Moon just hit me on an emotional level that I did not expect, right? And yeah, it just proved that Martin still has it in him to just create great masterpieces, right? So for my 10 film revisits, right, I'm going to go in terms of the year that they were released, right? I'm moving quickly. So a film that started off with a film that, we talked about on Six Reels Deep that celebrated its 25th anniversary. From 2000, Kinji Fukasaku's Battle Royale, right? boy, just revisiting that film though was just a blast. Talking about it with you, Ricardo, and you, CC, was just, that's just a highlight for me. I absolutely love this film. This is one of the best films I've ever seen though, and it still holds up to this day, right? Next one now, number two, as far as film revisits, right? This is one that, let's just say, this is me kind of doing my review of it right now, right? Because I don't know if I'll be able to do so come next year when it turns 25, right? So, little quick background, right? So as I said numerous times, right, in the 2000s when I got cable, right, I started learning a lot about cult films, right? Just these very weird, obscure films that didn't make that much money in the box office, right? But it had a cult following, right? But this one in particular, just like my last pick, right, for film revisits, right? This one, I kind of saw the genesis of the cult following that this movie would have, right? Because I saw it premiere. Not premiere. I actually saw it when it showed on a little station called the Movie Channel, right? Which was a offshoot of Showtime, right? And it would also show on Showtime, but it was more on TMC, right? Yeah, TMC, the Movie Channel, right? But yeah, I saw this film, and like many people, the first time they saw it, I was like, all right, I kind of get it, but this kind of makes no sense. But I feel if I watch it again, I will appreciate it. And yeah, the more I watched it, the more I love it. So the moment when Arrow Video released it on Blu-ray in limited edition, box set, I bought that shit with the swiftness. From Richard Kelly, 2001's Donnie Darko.
Yeah, boy.
Right.
Yep. Love this movie, right? Again, this was me just being introduced to a cult classic, right? Because at the time, like you would just hear about, this movie from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. I saw this movie like as it came out on cable. And over the years, I would see more people talk about it and, analyze it and whatnot, right? So I literally saw the cult classic in the making with this one, right? To me, Jake Gyllenhaal will forever remain Donnie Darko. And it was cool seeing him and his sister Maggie in this film as well, right? And to me, this was one of the first films that touch on that. This was the first like nostalgia film that I've ever seen. One that honed in on a particular era, in this case, late 80s America, and just kind of leaned into the mindset, like how would it feel to be a kid in that times, right? The fears you might have and all that kind of stuff, right? And in this case, it just told this really extraordinary story about this really nihilistic kid who doesn't care about the world, doesn't care about his life, right? And he is visited by this guy with this weird bunny, with this weird rabbit suit, who tells him that in 23 days, the world's going to come to an end, right? Or is it, 23 days, I think it was, right? Sorry, 28 days, right? And it's just basically about him kind of understanding about his purpose in life, right? Like, why does he exist? You know what I mean? And the people that he touches in this space of time, right? And I think for me, that is why that film really resonated with me, right? Just the idea of feeling like an outcast, feeling like nobody understands you, and just kind of understanding that, listen, like you are impacting people in ways that you don't expect. So your life has purpose, right? Even when things feel very dark and frightening, right? As this show beautifully, portrays, right? But yeah, I absolutely love this film. I don't know if I'll do a 25th anniversary retrospect review of it. I really should, but in case I don't, I'll just let y'all know this is one of my favorite films ever. 5 out of 5. Love that film, right?
Right.
Third pick, right? Moving quickly, right? R.I.P. to David Lynch. Still my favorite film from him, 2001's Mulholland Drive. I own the Criterion Blu-ray for this. I actually rewatched this yesterday time I was recording this. And yeah, it still blows my mind in terms of how he was just able to take this really baffling, very weird and twisty neo-noir story and make it so compelling and so fascinating to do. Like, you're just roped in from the beginning to the end, right? Naomi Watts, right? Coming through with probably the best performance I've seen from her ever, in my opinion, right? And just all these, like, guest actors who pop up as well too, right? But really at the heart of it all is just David Lynch showing that, listen, like me doing Twin Peaks was no fluke, you know what I mean? Like I still have it in me to tell these really weird stories, but make it captivating enough that, you know, the mainstream viewer the casual viewer could still sit through it and be like, all right, I want to know what happens next, right? But yeah, even within its weirdness, though, it is beautifully filmed, very well, you know, told. The dialogue stands out, the acting stands out, and still, I have no clue what really went on in that final act. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything. But my God, I could see myself going back to the show, tell myself, okay, this time I'm gonna get it. Huh? And then, like, no, I still don't get it, right? But that's the beauty about this guy's work, right? That he could, that he was able to make films that were him, that like kind of, you know, kind of express who he was, right? Just making these very strange and unique stories, right? But still do it in such a way that you are invested. You want to know what happens next, and you want to watch it over again and, you know, piece together the puzzle even more, right? But yeah, I still think that this is his best film, period, right? Number 4, a film that I hope will be popping up in your list, CC, and it's a good thing that we were able to talk about this for its 20th anniversary, for 6 Reels Deep. Neil Marshall's The Descent from 2005. Yeah, I had a blast rewatching this film twice for 6 Reels Deep, right? And yeah, it is just still a very visceral, gut punch, you know, white knuckle horror thriller film though. And yeah, that's really all I could say because, you know, we went into deep detail into why that film still works, right? Number 5, my favorite film of 2013, Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity. I rewatched this a few days ago and I was just still blown away. Like it just took me back to when I first saw it in IMAX. Still, boy, the visual effects for this, boy, still top notch, still flawless in my opinion, right? I love the fact that Warner Brothers was able to put this out in 2013 and Interstellar in 2014, boy. So yeah, they were on that whole space shit, boy. But yeah, the visuals hold up, the pacing of it still holds up, and it's just this roller coaster ride. Though. I would say if you get if you are prone to getting anxiety very quick, boy, this is not a show for you, But at the same time, I would say it is for you, right? Because yeah, you know, at its heart, right, within all the stunning visuals, right, it's just really about picking yourself up and moving forward and just being brave and facing your fears. That's really what it is, right? And Tracy, I had to pull you up on this one, right? But forgive me for saying this, but this is my favorite Sandra Bullock film, period. It's not While You Were Sleeping. It's not The Net. It's not The Blind Side. It's Gravity. It's my favorite Sandra Bullock movie, period. I love this film. I love this film, right?
I'll give you this very quick, though. There was a joke in, I think it was the Golden Globes, and they focused on Sandra with it, where there was like, Gravity is a story of how George Clooney would rather go off into space and die than spend one more hour with someone his own age. And then the camera just shot on Sandra Bullock, and it was just a whole. So that is literally the first thing that crosses my mind whenever I think about Gravity. That joke.
Oh, and speaking of George Clooney, right? His optimism when he is faced in the position that he's facing, when he's dealing with the stuff that he's dealing throughout that film, is nothing short of inspirational to me. When you see the film, you know what I'm talking about, right? But yeah, his optimism, boy, wow, right? So now we're in the second half, right? So from 2017, Jordan Peele's Get Out. As I said, you know, when I brought up Us, even though I prefer Us, as far as, Jordan Peele's work, Get Out though was Jordan Peele just saying, like, listen, like, I'm a comedian, yes. I'm a comic actor, yes. But I could tell great horror stories. And this one still remains probably one of the best scripts ever materialized a film. It's just so clever, though. Just so witty. From the dialogue to the conceit, just everything about it is just so well done, right? And it's not just the writing, but also the acting, the directing, just everything on point, right? And it's just Jordan Peele coming out and saying, listen, like, I'm going to be, like, just as, like the brand new African-American director to look out to, it was that guy, right? And yeah, 2017 was Jordan Peele's year, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing, what he brings out next, over, the course of the second half of this decade here, right? Number 7, This is a double feature here, and I had the absolute privilege of watching this on my birthday. And I would say for those who never saw these films, or probably saw one and then the next one afterwards, watch them as a double feature and thank me later. From Denis Villeneuve, Dune Parts 1 and 2.
Okay.
Not gonna get into detail about why these films stand out, but yeah, these films are great. Dune Part 2 was my favorite film of 2024. It beat Furiosa. Like, I just really prefer Dune Part 2 over that, right? But yeah, watch both films together, back to back, and thank me later, right? Number 8. My favorite film of 2022, and I was able to acquire this on Blu-ray. I watched it on Christmas Day, and I had a blast for this. From the Daniels. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once from 2022.
Okay,
Yes,
right.
yes. Yeah, well,
Not
they're not ranked, right? Yeah. But yeah, this was the film of 2022, right? And I mean, we did a review of it, right? Ricardo and I, we did a review of it, right? But what I would say, right, just recapping this film, right? This is A24 at the height of their power, boy. Making something so abstract, right? So weird. And yet similar to Mulholland Drive, right? Making it so mainstream, making it so clear that the casual viewer could still sit down and enjoy it, right? Within all the weird shit that happens, there's still this very compelling story, family drama that takes place, right? And even the weird stuff actually makes sense. And the whole idea of doing weird shit to power yourself up and do all these cool things, like Michelle Yeoh, who deserved that Best Actress Oscar, does. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? So the Daniels find this way to make sense out of nonsense. It's so weird, though. It's how they pull it off, though. And just letting their imagination fly and just having A24 just say, yep, you want to have, two chicks with hot dog fingers? Yep, let's go for it. You want to have a guy get beat almost to death with 2 dildos? Yep, let's go for it. And that's what this movie was, right? So yeah, love this, right? Number 9, this was my pick for favorite horror film of the past 25 years, from Coraline, Fargate, from 2024, The Substance. Not going to delve into too much into why that film is great, but it is great, just in terms of taking, body horror and using that to explore really modern themes of, beauty and all that kind of stuff, and ageism and stuff like that. It still works, right? And it's just the glee that Coraline has in terms of just showing out these gross out moments that, yeah, kind of legit had me cracking up doing numerous scenes, right? And last but not least, right? I had to thank you for this, Ricardo, because you brought this up a few times in our 6 Reels Deep recordings, right? So I didn't get it the first time I saw this film, right? This came out last year, right? But I told myself, if I have to do, top 25, and if I have to do the revisits, let me just at least give this film a watch, right? A rewatch, right? And I took my own advice. I watched it on a Sunday night with the lights off, just me in a dark room watching this thing on my laptop. And I just went in on the story, went deep into the story and the visuals and the aesthetic and everything. I was like, yep, this works for me now. From Jane Schuborn, 2024's I Saw the TV Glow.
Okay. Nice one.
Yep. I kind of love this film. Like it just worked for me. Like I got the gist of it now, right? And then I always knew, like, if I rewatched it, I would have gotten it, right? Like the first time, it's like, all right, yeah, I like the weird vibe of it too, but the story just didn't fully rope me in, right? And I was a little like let down by the ending of it too, right? But yeah, when I rewatch it, like, no, everything kind of works too, right? And for me, right, like listen, like even though I am not part of the audiences that this film was targeted, right, which is the queer and trans community, sorry. I still connected with the themes of identity, the fear of being constricted by the environment around you, right? And you see that through the character of Owen, right? Who is played brilliantly by Justice Smith, right? And it's one of those performances where it's like, dude, but like, you're all right? Like in real life, I'm asking myself, Justice, are you okay? Are you okay? Because you look sad AF throughout the entirety of this film, and I absolutely understand why, right? But to me, the beauty of the show was how it played on nostalgia, right? In this case, how and the character of Maddie, who is played by Jake Haven, right? Jack Haven, sorry. How they were connected by this 90s show called The Pink Opaque, right? How it connected with their lives and how they just felt like the characters in that show were them, right? And it's just that inability of them to move away from that show, right, and kind of embrace the dark reality, right, that they face. But it's just like, no, the reality that they face is too dark. So they both find solace in this one show that was canceled years ago, right? But yeah, in terms of what it is they talked about with nostalgia and identity and how it connects, absolutely worked for me, right? And for me, this is a show just like, similar to Mulholland Drive and Donnie Darko, right? This is one of those shows that I know that when I rewatch it, I'm going to pick up on something new, something profound every time I see it, right? And last point I'll make, right? I was literally like 3 weeks old, right? Because I watched it like 3 weeks ago, right? When I realized that this movie was rated PG-13, Because I don't know, like when it comes to A24 releases, right? Especially stuff that veer towards like very, abstract stuff, right? I usually think they just slap on an R rating because they just think that, teens wouldn't understand, right? But it's like, no, like when you think about it, like it is for the teen crowd, it is for them, right? And yes, it is weird, right? And very Lynchian as well too. But I would say like Jane Schuborn though, yeah, they are, clearly inspired by David Lynch too. And I really want to see what they'll do going forward, right? But yeah, this is a great film, a true cult classic in the making, and one that I really do see myself going back to for years to come, right? This is gonna be a midnight movie masterpiece for years to come, right? And yeah, those are my 10 revisits of 2025, which are part of my picks of the top 25 best films that I've seen over the past 25 years, right? So, yeah, Ricardo, take it away. You could just list out your top 25, right? Again, no particular, well, sorry, not so much no particular order, but you could do it either in no particular order or you could do it in terms of like the year that they were released, right? So, yeah.
I know. Well, I know about all of that. It's just stuff that stick with me, and I'll keep thinking about as films. But like I just going through in the back of my head, like what kind of miss or what think I would have missed. And it's like, oh no, yeah, I get why this movie, I leave off this movie or why this movie, but this stick with me, but that better, but even though this other one stick with me. So I'll go with that, right? It's just stuff that stick with me. Like these are the movies I'll talk about, keep revisiting what I borrow from in my own writing and creative work. This kind of stuff, right? So let me start. Right. So let's just start with the obvious big one, Inception. Christopher Nolan.
Nice. Mm-hmm. My favorite film of 2010. Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll pick off. I just get pick off. We've got a couple Nolans here. Another Nolan just to pick off quick, The Prestige.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely had to be there on the list. And then the last Nolan that have to be here because again is still pound for pound my favorite comic book movie, The Dark Knight. Right? Definitely have to be in the list. Right? These three.
I would have put that, but I would to pick one film from for each director, right? Or
okay. You just wanted one director, not just general. Okay, no problem. Yeah. It does get into, another movie that I'll really love. Again, stick with me. There's movies that are thinking about these movies in mind and writing my own material and just like, this is a real fucking good movie. I have no problem watching it over. Whiplash. Absolutely love Whiplash. It'll stick with me. Great music, great song, great acting. Everybody great in this. Great villain, but great arc for the main character and the antagonist at the same time. Their relationship and going with that.
And might I add, great closing scene, just that musical number, boy, one of the best closing moments ever. Love that.
Yeah, that's the last, like, that arc, and his guy kind of effectively fall to evil of him embracing, the dark power of his obsession. And it's great stuff. It's really great stuff. It's framed as a triumphant moment, but it's like, he kind of loses his soul there, right? Like, it's great stuff, like, really good stuff. Paul Reiser's reaction, like, that, like, piece of Paul Reiser's reaction in the door. When he watched it, he started like, "Oh shit, this is real bad." The cook here, great. I mean, great director. Love the director. But you mentioned Donnie Darko, but like I have another Gyllenhaal movie that I absolutely love, Nightcrawler.
Nice.
Profoundly disturbing. Great character role, great material, great commentary about media and the nature of media, and his rise to power and whatnot. And I just thoroughly love how this play out and works. And I just watch it in theaters and it just escalates so well. And Riz Ahmed is in this, right? And he's great in this. Yeah, it's really, really good stuff and really, really terrifying stuff. What we can do at 50, we can now running through like how many good movies in my head, but like they don't make the cut. But like, wait, but yeah, can I talk about this too? Anyway, whatever. This one is probably my favorite. I rated it as my favorite of the decade. But I still, it really sticks with me again because of how it was shot and the kind of story it was told and how it was framed and the coloring and cinematography. Son of Saul.
Right.
Absolutely love this
Still
movie.
haven't seen that, but I know this was your topic.
Oh, that one is so good. That one is so
thoroughly
good.
love this movie. Just engaging the entire time. Have you like on the group? I mean, you're just absolutely terrifying. And people just forget, and we will talk about real politics. Is that the real shit didn't go down in Germany? It went down outside of Germany, like the dark shit, the real dark shit. So we like talk about that, right? Another gripping one that had you on my toes, especially a certain scene involving a coin and a man with a cow puncher. No country for old men. No country for old men.
Yep. Great film.
This movie had me good. Yeah, this is just excellent writing. We could talk about other one of them their movies, stuff like the Macbeth movie they did and stuff like that. But like this is not they, but one of them did. But yeah, this had me grips. Really fantastic stuff. Another movie that had me, it's one of these movies that does the brilliant. Hey, the movie could end here, but no, it goes on and. Holy shit, it keep going on and it's actually more interesting now. So movie, not this movie, one movie, I suppose they can make a tie, but this one will count as the main one. But Go On Girl.
Yep. Yeah. Also in my favorites of the past decade. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one had me grips to grips. I just watching this, I'm like, where is going, Judd? And they said they had it. It really had me. And a movie that's similar to this, where again the second half is more interesting than the first half, even though it could have ended the first half, which is our Room.
Okay.
This was, really, really good stuff. And
Brie last one?
Sorry?
Brie last. Where Brie won the Oscar for.
Right. But it is one of those movies, again, it could have ended here. And it's like, wait, the movie, we still have like a whole chunk of movie to go to hell. And it's like, no, like that's where to get interested. And it's really brilliant, like character stuff. This one, in my humble opinion, an action masterpiece. A movie that just kind of came out of nowhere for me. And I was like, and again, well, you know what it is? When I say it, I am still mad they underutilize these guys in Star Wars. The Raid.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The Raid, well, the duology, right? Please tell me.
No, yeah, I read the first one much higher than the second one. The second one good, The second one is more set piece heaven. I don't think it's as coherent as the first one. And the first one is coherent.
It's slightly overambitious, but that's what I love about the film. It really expanded the story,
No, the second one is just like really brilliant set piece heaven. Like, oh shit, I saw they shoot that shot. I was like, wait, how the camera moved through the car? Like, oh shit, there's a lot of like brilliant BTS stuff. But as an actual product on its own, didn't enjoy it as much. It's still great fighting and everything. But the first one. That first film is so well done. Just the use of space, the story, how everything has come together and build. Again, amazing action and utilization of again, like mixing the space and the story and the narrative and everything making sense. And you don't need to know everything about the world. Just enough about this and this and that and the other. And they just build it and make it really work. Right? Really fantastic stuff. Right, next one on the list. Well, you put the entire trilogy, and I will do as well. Lord of the Rings, the trilogy.
Of course.
What can you say? Jackson and the gang cooked. This was excellent stuff. This our event. This was like what younger generations had for Endgame. My generation had for this. I remember watching this. Watching Return of the King Christmas night with my family. Like our entire family just take up a whole row, and it was one of the best experiences I've had in my life. Especially just period, not even just cinema, but just period. Just enjoying this movie and just how amazing it was. Yeah, it blew me away. Really, really fantastic stuff. Yeah, great trilogy. Just great filmmaking. They just do such a nice service to the material for what it is. And this is coming from somebody who's not a fan, so I'm sure some fans going to pick with that. But no, I just thought this was excellent stuff for me. Well, you get into the Villeneuve, yeah. Sicario.
Okay. Nice.
Absolutely love this movie. This has so many great like shots in it. I mean, where's his name?
Benicio del Toro.
No. The cinematographer for this. Oh shit.
Roger Deakins, right? The OG.
Deakins, right? I remember his name. Right? Yeah. He does come with these amazing shots. It have two shots, of course, at the standout. The sunset shot at sunset where all of them going down and you see
silhouettes. I love that. Yeah.
the silhouette of the soldiers going on, and then the second shot, there's this great shot that is super underrated because I'm watching it, and you could only notice it if you have a good screener. But that shot where you're just using moonlight alone, and the guy have the knife coming towards the camera, like what? What is this? How it uses light there? Really great stuff. But yeah, great story. What going on with Benicio del Toro is great. That reveal is really, really solid. Then the border scene is great stuff. Like yeah, this had you on pointed. Yeah, well, another person I have to mention, of course, Taylor Sheridan. Yeah, this was great. Another movie, kind of a borderline western. Hello, High Water.
Oh
Absolutely
yeah, love that movie.
Hello, High Water. Oh my God, that ending. The ending is so intense,
Yep.
right? And what make it
Yep.
work? What make it work is that it's the two characters who's kind of the jokey characters. The characters you ain't supposed to take serious. And then when it come to that final confrontation, it's like, wow, this is tense. It really, really had you on the edge of your seat with us. That was good stuff. I mean, oh God, the dude himself, he was so good at this with Captain Kirk. Really, really, really excellent stuff they had here, boy. Those are excellent fucking
Chris Pine?
movies, right? Correct, Chris Pine and oh gosh, the dude,
And Jeff
gosh, remember
Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Bridges,
Yeah. The two of them was just like Jeff Bridges is so good at this movie though, because again, the whole movie kind of a goofball. And then when things get serious, especially what happened with certain other characters, like he get real serious, right? Like you
Yes.
forget how great of an actor Jeff Bridges is. He's so fucking good at this. So yeah, love this movie. John Peel. I've been on record of I don't think I'm in the popular camp for this one, but yeah, John Peel's Us. I really like this movie. Just good performances all around. Just good framing and conceits, and it just had you going. And the twist is a little predictable, a little bit, but like it's one of those, you had to do it in a certain way. And the way to try to say and do is really excellent stuff. This might be really, really unpopular, but I actually like this movie more than his other movie, the movie that he's more popular for. I happen to think it is better than Moonlight. I really like If Beale Streets Could Talk. I actually like this one more than
nice,
Moonlight,
nice.
right? Moonlight is the big masterpiece and it's the one that everybody talk about. I don't know, Beale Streets Could Talk was just such a great piece though. Really come together, really excellent stuff and really works and just pulls together excellent storytelling. It's a great book and it's a great adaptation of this book. And it's like, all right, this is excellent for me. I found myself enjoying this more than Moonlight. Next movie, yeah, in my humble opinion, a subtle sci-fi masterpiece and just really well executed storytelling. Ex Machina.
Nice.
Great storytelling, great beats and pulling for way try to do a lot of commentary about femininity or on just technology, the idea of the world, how the gaze and all of these things you could get into, and just really excellent stuff overall. Yeah, well, you mentioned it and I'll mention it too. Yeah, a great social comedy masterpiece from Korea, Parasite. This was really, really excellent stuff. They make it work, pull together. I'll also mention another. Well, this kind of take a tie from Korea. The Handmaiden, also.
Okay.
Yeah, two great stories that just pull storytelling together, and it's just like, oh shit, that's what's going on. All right, would really, really excellent stuff.
Yeah,
right.
and it's funny that you play that now because Park Chan-wook's new film No Other Choice, which I'll talk about in another video, will be compared to Parasite in terms of its
right.
premise.
So let's pick off my last set quick, and these movies are just classics, and it's stuff that I just stick with me personally and just really well done, and we're gonna get into that. This movie that shaped the decade in terms of blockbuster filmmaking. You know what I'm talking about. It's the one that said, look, this is it. This is the decade. This is what everything going to be based off of from here on in. And, nobody else is going to just create a massive money goblin juggernaut that's going to shape the thing. And I'm not talking about Avatar, right? I am talking about the Avengers.
But of course.
The first Avengers is just such a paradigm shift in film for a lot of people, and including myself. This was it. You can't believe they did it. You could say it don't hold up all that much anymore, but no, this was the film that has shaped the decade of blockbuster cinema. Full stop. Everybody thought that them comic book movies would have so long. Hell no. That shit just had a bill like a goddamn snowball dread, and just ended up giving us this massive film after film. They Marvel MCU absolutely cracked the code dread, and they just nail it. And it's a damn shame other people couldn't replicate it. But yeah, that's how it is. Really excellent stuff. Great, absolute borderline brilliant stuff, and it just dominated the paradigm. A little ditty from a little country called Brazil. Gives us a great movie that is just, in my opinion, a modern masterpiece and classic, City of God.
Yep.
This is really, really
Bravo.
good stuff.
Yep.
Great, love it. And it's just like, you just give it the sweatiness, the griminess, but they make it work. And I just really love this. Another movie that I love, oh god, it's slipping my mind. God, I so bad with names. I'm gonna say the movie. Let us know Yojima. I'm trying to remember the director's name. Oh gosh, good. Slipping my mind right.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, thank you. Oh God, wait. Clint Eastwood's Letters from Iwo Jima. Yeah, such a great treatise and reflection on war. There's a moment in the movie with some hand grenades, like jeez, boy, it's dark as hell, dude. But yeah, it just great stuff, great environment, good colorization. It's just something, just a great environment of how terrifying this stuff does get as the times. So that's how I feel about that. Yeah, next movie. This is a movie that personally stick with me in terms of just how to think about the world and just the cynicism of the world. But it's a great performance, and when I saw this guy, I was like, oh shit, this guy gonna be Harvey Dent, and I end up thoroughly love this movie. Thank You for Smoking. Aaron Eckhart.
Still haven't seen that.
Is great.
Shame.
No, I love this movie, Judd. Great movie, very cynical movie, yeah, but it's good stuff. Like white works and what you're trying to say at the time in terms of the politics. Great stuff. Really excellent outing. Yeah, so let me just get into the last final, I suppose, final five. So these two movies, they're supposed to take a tie, but I'll put one above the other. So number 5, Ratatouille, and number 4, The Incredibles. To me,
yes.
this was such a I personally love Ratatouille probably the most because of the ending, right? But overall, the movie was until the ending. The ending is amazing. Love the ending of this movie. We call it Anthony Go's character, that's Peter O'Toole. His little speech review. It's like, oh, this is brilliant, dude. This is like, oh, the absolute
good lord.
But then, but also another outing by Brad Bird. The Incredibles. This was just such a great take on the superhero genre and what they do with it. And at the time, this was like, this is like really brilliant stuff, dude. They make it really, really work and work for what it is. I just stuff would stuck with me. Last 3 movies are just, again, not really ranking them, but just these movies is just amazing experience in theaters, and I cannot believe I was watching, and it really felt like the future of film. It's a shame that we don't get more stuff like this. But number 3, the Grand Budapest Hotel. All right.
Finally, a Wes Anderson movie.
I absolutely love this movie. This is, in my humble opinion, this is his best movie. I think it's the height of his career. This is everything comes together in this movie. This is really, really good stuff. Excellent. Loved it. Another movie I just cannot believe I was watching in theaters, and I was like absolutely blown away by it when I was seeing it, and like, whoa, can't believe what they catch me. Children of Men.
Ooh,
love
boys.
this.
Yep. Another Alfonso Cuarón film.
Yeah, absolute cookage. Like, this was really excellent stuff. It just had me from start to end. Really good world building and storytelling. And I didn't read the book at the point in time, so I read the book after. But yeah, great stuff. Just that scene with the baby, Dread. Like,
yeah. Just the 2 long takes in that film, though. I mean, my God. My God.
And yeah, this is the movie that probably stick with me in the last 25 years or so, in terms of like, all right, I can't believe science fiction could be like this, and they're actually doing this, Dread, and everything like looks great from a world building standpoint. Another thing is that the movie relatively cheap. We're going with this one, and why what? Aliens, South Africa, Verity style. Yeah, my movie that kind of stick with me. District 9.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great world building, great storytelling. They just put together a really fantastic story. And just I hear that this was going to be $30 million. I was like, what? That's the price of the movie. Now that value, even though that's the proper budget of the film, it's a little misleading because it's a lot of stuff that was just pulled together after the fact, so they could put stuff off the books. But that's neither here nor there. This movie just really works. Great acting and writing and storytelling. Good special effects. Great world building. It's a damn shame we don't get more global South science fiction stuff. Like I said,
yes,
it's a hot take. Like, they should have made RoboCop in Brazil. Like, the guy was from Brazil. They should have made. Whatever. Moving on. Next, but that's my list.
All right. I'm loving what I'm hearing here. Right. So Tracy, it's your turn. You could share your 25. Do you have any film revisits, or you're just gonna single out just the 10 best out of your list?
I'm gonna just single out the ones that. Now, to be very real, they all have a special place in my heart, obviously, but I have about 10 or 11 that are bold on the list here. I have them in bold that stand out a little bit more. So this is me just giving a quick ramble of like some of these films throughout the years, and then I will give you the ones that I think matter more. So in terms of 2000s, it was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yep. Love it.
That, yeah, that was a whole scene there for me. I have, and I'm skipping some years there, and I'll explain why afterwards. I have 2003, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
Because this was, let me tell you, this was one of those random things for me where it was like, this is a movie that I always go back to sit down and watch because of the comedy style of it, and also in terms of rom-coms and that kind of stuff. I've seen enough of these in the last how much of a years, and it's still not making sense to me compared to how those were in the 90s and the early 2000s. I have that there. Then I have Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy in 2011.
Ooh, still haven't seen that, boy. I feel
that was just.
That was hard, yeah.
It was Gary Oldman and God, Mark and all these people. So that was a whole thing there for me. And then 2019, Avengers Endgame. Infinity War was absolutely brilliant, seeing how it ended. But 2019's Endgame just sort of wrapped everything up. It's like, okay, this is the end of the saga. Where do we go next? So there's that. 2022, I think it was Sir Bailey who talked about it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. These are films that stick in my brain and I always go back to. But having given those, let me give you the films that if I was on a red carpet for Letterboxd or anywhere, I would preach about these films. And there are 2001's Monsoon Wedding.
I haven't seen that in years.
I still play that soundtrack. I mean, like, I still play that soundtrack. That is Mira Neer. For those who may be listening, Mira Neer, why does she sound familiar? Just think of the new New York mayor.
Well, yeah, Mississippi Masala.
Well, I mean, like, if you're not into the film side of things, that's his, and you're just on a side, that's his mom. But for us, like the Monsoon Wedding for me, so Monsoon Wedding is this film which basically is this whole idea of like family has come together for this wedding. It is the wedding of Nasruddin Shah, Nasruddin Shah's character's daughter. His name is Lalit Brunner, and his daughter is Aditi. And so Aditi is getting married, and you know how that in a South Asian Indian family, it's like all the cousins and everybody is coming there. So the groom is coming, and all the family is coming. So you have a wedding, but also that's the point in time where everybody's little secrets start coming out one way or the other. You have Ria, who has had some serious stresses to go through because one of the uncles was a bit of a pedo, and she's been dealing with that and seeing the pattern being repeated again. You have the blue collar project manager, PK Dubé, and he's falling in love with like the servant, the maid of the house. There's so much stuff. I mean, this movie was such a vibe that when I was doing my capstone thing, I gave everybody on the crew the homework of, you need to watch Monsoon Wedding so that we will all know what we're doing, because it's more or less one location and that kind of vibe. I go nuts over Monsoon Wedding every time. 2002, Brown Sugar. Brown Sugar.
Nice.
Yeah, Brown Sugar is Mos Def and Sanaa Lathan and Tay Diggs. Now, Tay Diggs and Sanaa Lathan are the main ones, but Mos Def, I mean,
that title song, man, is I love that song so much.
It is still. It's to tell you where the fact that I still live there is. I mean, that Brown Sugar Extra Fine still plays in my player. So you have these two friends who Sydney and Andre, and Andre's like a A&R, artist and recording kind of dude, and she works for like a magazine, and they both love hip hop, and it's their love of hip hop, but also the two of them coming to realize how much they love each other. And it's just like, she starts off every interview with, she works on the radio and has her book that she's coming out with, but she starts off everything with, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? And the show starts with a whole bunch of artists talking about how they fell in love with hip hop, Talib Kweli and everybody else. It's like this movie is Black love. It is love. It is a love letter to hip hop. I mean, Erykah Badu had that song with Common, "Love of My Life," which is also in there. It is usually during this time people will talk about like love and basketball, and love and basketball is like really vibes in terms of that. But for me, when it comes to, if I had to pick out of those two, it's Rick Famuyiwa's Brown Sugar for 2002. Moving along, Collateral 2004
Yes.
from
Nice. Yeah,
Michael
this
Mann.
is almost made my list. Yeah.
Same here.
That I advise everybody to watch Collateral. It is so good. And to be on a more personal level, whenever I realize that I am making excuses about what I'm doing in my life, I always remember Vincent talking to Jamie Foxx's character and being like, you could have just had one. You could have started off with renting one car and then doing something. You didn't have to lie. And it was just all. It was beautiful. So 2004 Collateral, then 2006. No, I will be insufferable next year. It goes without saying. I say this every year in the hopes of not being insufferable, but I know I will be next year when the sequel comes out. But the feelings that I felt when The Devil Wears Prada came out in 2006, it is illogical for me, but I still walk around talking about Cerulean and, the fact that it was, picked for you from a pile of stuff. It is so like, who is the actual, the idea of The Devil Wears Prada? You look to Miranda Priestley because Miranda is in fact like very demanding, and she will step on whoever she needs to in order to make sure that the magazine succeeds, etc. But all of my people will tell you that the real evil in that film was Nate, which is Andy's boyfriend, because he's just too much of a man-child, and that's another story in itself. 2008. 2008, I give you the very first Iron Man, because that was a movie. This was the MCU first coming out. This was the MCU coming out and saying, oh, well, after all the stuff that Marvel has gone through and with the Electras of the world and the Daredevils and everything like that, well, we're coming up with our own studio and we're going to be making our own movies. And this is the first real foray that we're doing. And here's Robert Downey Jr., who may carry it very well or may not, but he really does look like Tony Stark, like every version of Tony Stark that I've seen. And Iron Man came out the gate, and it's sort of like, okay, Marvel Studios, tell me more. So even to the end of the film, when Nick Fury shows up and it's just the post-credits scene, which I think they're all kind of spoilers for now. Yeah, still in the movie, and it's like, what next? Will the post-credits scene be? Iron Man did this brilliant thing. 2009, I give you 9 from Rob Marshall. And
nice
Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's almost made my list as well.
I love that movie so much.
In years, yo.
Yeah, that was hard.
Listen, 9 is, I kid you not when I tell you, somewhere in early December, I was still walking around singing Contini's Cinema, which is Cinema Italiano, which is Kate Hudson's song in the film. So 9 is one of those things. You have a director who basically is having a crisis in terms of like where he is in terms of his work. The studio is like, where's the script? What's going on? But Contini is such a fantastic director that people just sort of give him a little bit of a leeway. But in his mind, he is reminiscing of the 9 women that shaped his life. His mistress.
This is a different movie from what I was thinking the sci-fi thing.
You're thinking? Oh no! This is Rob Marshall's.
Okay,
no this one is a musical.
All right, I'm sorry. I was thinking the same thing as Ricardo.
Right. Okay. No problem.
No. This one is this is a bit of a musical, but I would really strongly advise everybody to see it because you have Judi Dench is in it. His costume designer Marion Cotillard was his wife, and she has her own songs in there. Fergie is in there. Fergie plays the prostitute Sarafina that he met when he was 12 and told him to be Italian and what it means to love and all that kind of stuff like that. So 9, that's brilliant. 2010, and I'll just move quickly along. 2010, there's a film that I don't think did so well in the box office, but it still lives in everybody's life, and it still does brilliantly in mine. Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim came out, and it was the most video game, comic, graphic novel, comic book film that was not just video game comic. Like you saw it and you watched this thing and it was like this. I remember seeing it and thinking, this is me. And then a couple friends of mine saw it outside of seeing it with me, and it was like, this is very Tracy. So Scott Pilgrim is, and the soundtrack for that, Sex Bomb soundtrack that is still out.
Right. Yeah, that's all we made my list. Right.
That movie still lives rent-free in my brain. 2015, moving along. 2015, The Martian.
Nice.
The Martian by Sir Scott.
Almost made my list,
Scott. Listen, Sir Ridley Scott has had some films and has said some things over the years that sometimes I tend to be like, I don't. What are you saying? Cut to his Moses comment and why he couldn't hire Muhammad so and so from such and such. But The Martian for me is still this. It is something that I used to watch like every Sunday, and I kid you not, like maybe about a week and a half ago, I actually did queue it up and sit down to watch it, and it still feels like a powerful statement, and I'm very cool with that.
It's great. It's great competence porn. That's what it is. They nailed that.
Yeah. I will move all the way down to 2018 with John Chu's Crazy Rich Asians. Because Crazy Rich Asians as a concept and as both book and film is something that is so huge and at the same point in time feels so accessible. And by the way, here's a random quick piece of lore just to remind everybody how ridiculous Hollywood could be, is the idea of an executive looking at Henry, the author's book, the author, and saying, we want to adapt this into film. And we were thinking that the titular character of Rachel should be a Caucasian woman.
Right.
The story is Crazy Rich Asians, but you want to have a white woman. But this, even though it is like, yes, we're talking about like the wealth of these Asian families, and how do you connect in terms of like there's different types of Asian, obviously, because you have this girl who is Chinese American, and she falls in love with this guy who is, I think he was Singaporean, but his mother is Singaporean, and his mother is Michelle Yao, and John.
They were Chinese. They were Chinese people who moved to Singapore.
I
remember the story.
Is that? Yes, that is correct.
Yeah,
and you see the love that comes out of it. That even if you are not. Because people tend to, and I say this because people tend to be like, well, this is not a movie for me because I'm not black, or I'm not Asian, or I'm not queer, or whatever it is like that. But there are themes that you can pull yourself into, and that is one of them. So Crazy Rich Asians, 2018. And then coming down to 2023, I just have this labeled here on my notes as Barbenheimer. I couldn't really pull one from the other because I saw both of them. I was hyped for both of them. I did see Oppenheimer first, and then I went into Barbie. I was very excited for Barbie when I saw the first bits of photography that came out of there, where it's her in the car and it's him leaning up against the dream house. And I said, okay, this could work. This could work, because Barbie was in a type of development hell for years. At one point in time, I heard they was going to do something with Rebel. I heard they wanted to do something with Anne Hathaway. I heard that there were so many different versions of what could have been, but Barbie was brilliant. And then, of course, Oppenheimer was this delicious. I left this cinema. I told some friends that day, one movie is about the existential crisis of mankind, and the other one is about the existential crisis of mankind in plastic.
Right.
And I love that for 2023, Barbenheimer. 2024, to wrap things up, 2024, I, honest to God, had originally had just Wicked for 2024. And then I remembered that Conclave came out in 2024. So I'm sort of cheating in the notion of both Wicked Clave, which is not a thing, but let's go with that.
Wicked Clave.
Wicked Clave. That's my cheat for 2024, because those two, on the one hand, you had a film that was supposed to start off as a film, but thank God it didn't start off as a film. It started off as a Broadway production, and it actually built itself up. And then you had the film, and a lot of people was like, why do we have Ariana? And then you see Ariana stripped down, and Cynthia is absolutely brilliant. And to see these two bring Wicked to screen, and then you take that now with Conclave going behind the scenes and see, because I saw like the two popes and all of that, so you know how things go behind the scenes. But this was just so delicious, and I was like, yes, that's my thing. And even though I know 2025 is not yet up, I will end with this. I think one of my tops for 2025, and this might be a spoiler for the other list, would be Wake Up Dead Man.
Okay.
Nice. You saw it.
Ryan, I finally sat down, Sibylle, I finally sat down to see it. And Wake Up Dead Man hit me in parts of my soul, because this is really, how do you deal with faith? And as someone who is still active and involved in church, and at the same point in time want to pelt a shoe behind various people and institutions who claim to be church things and all that kind of stuff, I sat down there and I watched this. It was one of those movies where I sat down, I watched it, I liked it, and then I got up, and the next day I was in my kitchen and I was like, this is some shit that I actually want to say to some people, and this and this and this. So I wrap up my 25 with that. Wake Up Dead Man.